Yeah, all right. So we're got the shit box back up on the lift, and I'm putting the stock HTEV valve back into it. I'm not going to be running a tuner on this bike. I just want it to be stock. So I went on eBay, and I got a Boneyard HTEV valve. And I don't know, it was like 20 bucks, maybe not even quite that much. It was next to nothing. So we're going to look at that here today. The other thing that I got to do is the rear wheel's got to come back off. Cush drive bushings are shot, so I got new old stock Cush drive bushings. Hopefully they'll work. The other thing is we're going to do grips, and I took these off. My guess is you can understand why I wouldn't want these, But yeah, so those are going to go in the trash can. They had a nice pointy end on them, So how about that? I like that. It's like a little wizard hat for your middle finger, How about that? So like I said, I'm not going to run a tuner. Stock. I just want everything stock. So we're going to get that valve going today. Start it up. Make sure that the solenoid, which is right there, is operating as it should. And we're going to go from there. All right, so let's take a look at the exhaust valve itself. So there's 3 markings on the housing. So you've got 0 degrees, 90 degrees, and 180 degrees. So at idle, it should be at 90 degrees. And what you're going to see is, so what that's doing is that's mixing, right? So that's forcing, now I got to remember which one is which here. It's forcing, I don't know, 1 and 2 out with 3 and 4, right? And then when the engine hits 3,000 RPM, this should open up to 0 degrees, which is just 4 straight through, right? And then when it crosses the 8,000 RPM threshold, it should spin down to 180 degrees, which is then mixing all 4, right? So the reason that they're doing this is to try to create back pressure at the lower RPM range, which, Honda says makes the torque curve a little bit more gradual. And I don't know if it's true or not. I guess we're going to find out. So we're going to mount the cables next. And there's 2 cables. Pretty self-explanatory where they need to go, You got one with a spring. And then you've got one with no spring. Oh, by the way, this whole valve assembly does come out. If you take this nut off, you can pull the whole valve assembly off. And behind here, you're going to find a spring and 2 bushings. And there are clearance values for those bushings and everything, but such as with everything else with this bike, those bushings are no longer available. So maybe just don't open it and pretend that you did, and it looked okay. At least that's what I'm going to do. And of course, if it doesn't work out, we can always go back to what's currently on it. All right, so here's what we pulled out. Based on what I've been able to figure out, this is a pretty common modification. And yeah, it works, but I want to go back to stock. Now, Of course, whoever swapped this out decided to leave some bolts out, so I'm going to have to run to the hardware store because we're missing 2 or 3 bolts. And if you have one of these and you either put one of these on or take one of these off, make sure that you save on your gaskets because these are also no longer available. I can't even find a new old stock on these. So be careful with your gaskets. So we're going to get the new one installed and get our cables routed up and go from there. Yeah, all right, so here's some stuff that's a little confusing. So down here on the exhaust valve, you got one cable on the bottom, one cable on the top. And then up here on your servo, you've got 3 grooves in your pulley. You got one on the top, middle, bottom. So nowhere in the factory service manual and nowhere in the climber manual does it tell you where each cable goes. I can't find it. So I searched on Google and I just did some image searching, and the best that I can tell is that the cable on the top of the exhaust valve routes up to the groove that's in the middle of the pulley on the servo. And then the cable that's on the bottom, down on the exhaust valve, routes up to the top of this pulley. And this pulley on the bottom should go to the flapper inside the airbox. Now, this bike has been heavily modified, and somebody removed on that. Somebody went ahead and deleted the flapper in the airbox. So I have to order, I'll get that part. I'll find one on eBay or Boneyard or something. I'll get one of those, and here's the cable for that. So here's where we're at. So I'm gonna, I've been adjusting around on this servo here, and I'm gonna turn the key on, and this servo should center this. So that notch, gosh, hopefully that's showing up on the video there. This is pretty dark. That notch should be pointing right at the 90-degree mark. And then what we'll do is we'll adjust on these cables here until that is right on the 90-degree mark. All right, so here we go. Key on, engine off, and that notch should, the servo should pull that notch right over to that 90-degree mark. Okay, so we're a little bit off, so I'm going to make some adjustments on these cables now. So we'll just adjust them by spinning in and out these nuts here, and we'll get that to where it's pointing right where we want it to go. Okay, so take a look at this. If I go key on now, lines it up pretty much right on. So the next step in this process is to rev it up to 3,000 RPM. Once it passes 3,000, it should point straight down. Or maybe I'm backwards on that. I don't remember, you know. And then surpass 8,000, it should go straight up. I think that's backwards. I think after 3,000, it goes straight up. And then after 8,000, it goes to 180 degrees. Whatever, okay? Unfortunately, the bike is not currently in a position to do the rest of the testing. That will have to happen after I get the gas tank and everything back on it. But for now, the exhaust valve is reinstalled. And that's all I wanted to do today. So anyways, man, thanks for watching. I think there might be like 4 people who see this. Now you might be asking yourself, why would you buy a bike that needs this much work? This thing should be getting parted out at a boneyard. And you'd be correct. And I just did it because I like working on them. And I needed something to do. So have a nice day. See you later.